Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Yeah, all right. I expect better. We're recording tonight. It's going out on the live stream. Hello, YouTube audience, wherever you may be. So welcome to the 2020 Beaker Street Festival. Oh, hang on. It's 2022. What's happened in the last 2 years? I don't know. I've been in a time warp. What about you? Welcome to the 2022 Beaker Street Festival debate. Yes. My name is Natasha Mitchell. I'm from the ABC, Science and Radio National and all that stuff. We gather on the country of the first scientists, the Muwinina people who belong to the oldest continuous living culture on this planet. And they resisted but did not survive British colonisation. I pay my respects to Tasmanian Aboriginal elders and to your elders here today of all time. Thank you for having us on your land. Our topic tonight is your keep cup won't save you. Do you want to save the planet? Yes. Do you want to do your bit? Yes. Reduce, reuse, recycle. It feels so good, doesn't it? From little things, big things grow, right? Yes. I can't hear you. Yeah, right?
It's going good so far.
Change starts with you, right? Every bit counts. You have the power. Or are you all just deluding yourself? Is that all just a devious plot by the big polluters, the big politicians, the big corporations, the big knobs to distract you from what's really going on? So they get to keep screwing the planet, making profits, while you feel really virtuous in your veggie patch. So, our debate tonight, your keep cup can't save you, is personal responsibility in environmentalism. I'm just going to put that down. A galvanising force for good or a con, part of the solution or part of the problem. So you are the people that get to decide. Going head to head, two teams, 6 brilliant minds. On the affirmative team, the cantankerous collective, we have team leader, mathematician, Professor Barbara Holland from the University of Tasmania. We have cartographer, geoscientist, environmental scientist and consultant Matt Dell. We have local publican, former policy advisor and Senate candidate and emerging comedian, Leanne Minshall. Negative team, the Beaker Street Keepers, we have team leader, writer, comedian, broadcaster from The Chaser and TV series like The War on Waste, Craig Rucastle. From CSIRO Oceans and Atmosphere, senior principal research scientist, Dr. Beth Fulton. And we have conservation ecologist and CEO of the Tasmanian Land Conservancy, James Hatton. Right, the rules. You have to make a racket. We want you to laugh at all the bad jokes. They have 3 minutes, no more. Otherwise, they get the gong. If they go over, they're in trouble. Then we're going to give them a few minutes to knock heads and develop a fine rebuttal, and the winner will be determined by you, a highly scientific crowd applause. Yes, we're all about the science here. So, for the affirmative team, let's kick off without further ado. Welcome, arguing for the proposition your keep cup can't save you. Try saying that fast 5 times. Your keep cup can't save you, Professor Barbara Holland.
Thank you. Good evening, class. Now, you're here today because you have, I believe, enrolled in the course Saving the Planet from Impending Doom. The assessment criteria are very simple. All you'll need to do is keep global warming below 1.5 degrees, save all threatened ecosystems, and prevent any more plastic from entering the ocean. Not too hard. I have some slightly difficult news. The assignment, which is worth 100% of your final mark and will indeed determine if the planet remains habitable, will be assessed as a group project. I know. Everyone hates a group project. Why can't I save the planet individually? Well, there are two main reasons. One, you're all a little bit hopeless. I regret to say it. I love you all, but you are. And reason number two, even if you weren't hopeless, this just isn't an assignment that any one of you have the skills or power to solve on your own. Okay, so we'll start with a little exercise. Hands up if you avoid buying coffee in disposable cups. Or at least, buy the compostable ones. Come on, we must have a few more people. And keep your hand up if you sort your recycling. That's fantastic. Now just keep your hands up, everyone who had your hand up. Now leave your hand up if you don't own a second car, otherwise put it down. Leave your hand up if you don't own a second child, otherwise put it down. And leave your hand up if you haven't travelled anywhere by air. Oops! See what I mean? A little bit hopeless. Now, I'm not trying to argue that we aren't all basically well-intentioned individuals, but the fact is, if things get inconvenient, then we have a tendency to die in the arse. Now, great case in point, masks. We all know that they work. We all know they're fantastic. They save lives. We all love our grandmas. How many people are wearing a mask? Some, but by no means anyone. No means everyone. Sorry, no, there are some people who are here with masks. So, okay, what's in store for you? In keeping with UTAS's latest pedagogical advances, this course will be delivered in 2 3-minute lectures. Leanne Mitchell and Matt Dell will draw on their wide experience to explain to you how we should instead harvest the benefits of collectivism over individualism in order to excel at our group assignment and indeed save the planet from impending doom. Now, I can see there's a few emails coming in already. Some of you are asking for an extension. Look, I'm sorry, we've been giving an extension on this assignment for the last 20 years, so just please don't even go there.
Next up, for the negative team, arguing against the proposition your keep cup can't save you, Craig Rucastle from the Keepers.
I was kind of liking the fact that we've had a change in the national discussion, we've had a change in government that means we no longer have that predominant argument which is we're only 1.3% of the world's emissions, so we don't have to do anything. But that's essentially the argument that's being put by the affirmative here. Thank you, the Morrison government here. No, I'm kidding. No. But it is true though. Let's look at Professor Barbara's argument here. It was a great argument. She's right. There aren't an enormous amount of masks in this room. I've been wearing my mask all day. I took it off for this debate. But what Professor Barbara and her team are asserting is that those that are wearing the masks, that are wearing it now, have no impact. Yet in actual fact, every single person in this room that is wearing a mask is reducing the chance of the pandemic spreading. Now, we're not saying that one mask will solve a pandemic, but we are saying that many masks can add up and actually have a big impact. And that's what we're really talking about today. The whole debate about your keep cup can't save you is not saying that one single person using a keep cup will save the world unless they're in a Marvel movie. It won't happen that way. Captain Keep Cup will not save us. But it's about, does personal action matter? Does it have an influence? Does it make a difference? And we think it definitely does here on the affirmative. Now, we're going to show this in many ways. Firstly, that individual action does really add up. I mean, when people started using, and I didn't know this, but UTS did a study of people shifting to reusable keep cups after the war on waste, and showed that 61.8 million coffee cups were diverted from landfill by those people's actions. Small things add up.
Have they heard of mugs?
Sorry?
Have they heard of mugs?
Have they heard of mugs? You can use... You can use a mug. As a matter of fact, on the ABC, I'm not even allowed to say the words Keep Cup because it's a brand. Reusable cups of no particular origin is what I'm talking about here today. This topic is a disgrace. In Australia, the second biggest coal-fired power station in Australia pumps out about 12 million tonnes of CO2 a year. Every single just small business and household that has put solar on their roofs currently pumps out more energy than that power station through their individual. Small things add up, ladies and gentlemen. But we're not even going to say on this side of the team that it's just small actions add up. We're not saying you're going to save it on your own. Because the thing about people that undertake these small actions is very soon in your journey, you'll hit a wall and you'll get the shits. And you'll realise, I'm doing this and I'm doing this, but this isn't making enough difference. And how come I can't do this next step? Oh, it's because of the politicians and the businesses that aren't making any change. And that's when you'll take the next step, which is towards political action and community action, and you'll push for change. And so that's why you think of it as it's kind of like an entry drug. It gets you in there. Sorry, I've already gone over 3 minutes. Anyway, this will be expanded upon by my great speakers.
Clearly the poster boy for the Keep Cup. Well, on the affirmative team, next up, arguing for the proposition that your Keep Cup can't save you, Matthew Dell. Welcome.
I'll just premise by saying I haven't really been able to do this without reading. So I see the Keep Cup as a symbol of our society in general and what's wrong with it. Spending the earth on an overpriced, slave labour-derived commodity, totally unnecessary and over-engineered piece of future recyclable landfill. What's wrong with the ceramic cup anyway? They've been around for thousands of years and they're going to be around for thousands more. I'm pretty sure there are massive parts of the world population that don't even know what a Keep Cup is. Can't afford one, and so if we're looking as that as a way to save the planet, we're in a lot of trouble. And 5% of 5% of people who, the amount of people who drink coffee from Keep Cups is 5% of the total sales in local cafes. So if we're looking as this as a way to save the earth, we're drinking from the wrong vessel. I had to look up what Keep Cups were, but I don't get out very much. And I wouldn't waste my money on soft drugs anyway. I don't own a Keep Cup, and I probably never will. I did find one, however, on a beach last summer. It had been there for a couple of months, and when I opened it, it meant that I was probably never, ever going to drink from anything like that ever again. Shouldn't the onus be on governments and individuals, multinationals, to save the planet instead of exploit it? After all, if we all die, they're going to stop getting rich. Instead, they're trying to guilt the general population to try and spend their way out of the problem while the rich and famous destroy the planet and try to leave it in the rockets that they've built. As many of my friends and colleagues know, I have a few issues with plastic. I've picked up plastic on the southwest coast of Tasmania for over 20 years. With a group of like-minded, obsessive-compulsive individuals.
That's really individual action. Well done.
We're a collective. So the idea that a mostly plastic-made product is going to save the planet gets me a little bit twitchy. Part of the work, I know, when I got there, was overwhelming. I got dropped on a beach in the middle of nowhere with a mate, and we had to clean the beach, 2.5 k's, end to end. It was totally overwhelming. We didn't do it very efficiently. We hadn't really been that prepared for the task. And what had he done? 15 seconds. Oh.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Do your own bit, but we need to do it as a team.
Matthew Dell. Oh, who are you thinking so far? Well, next on the negative team, the keepers, arguing against the proposition your keep cup can't save you. Oh, they're wheeling out the big guns now. Dr. Beth Fulton, Senior Principal Research Scientist with CSIRO, Oceans and Atmosphere.
So our esteemed opposition would like us to all go home, have a big cry and just give up. I don't know of a single footy team in Australia that wouldn't make headline news and get the sack for having that kind of opinion. And it kind of misses the point of how inventive a country we are. We looked at a chocolate biscuit and said straw even before we realised straws were a problem. So does it surprise us that in a country that has this almost unbelievable adoration of coffee, that a set of people in Melbourne looked at a coffee cup and went, we can solve climate change? So it's been 10 years now and they've saved more coffee cups than there are people on the planet. And there's been scientific studies that have tracked people that have picked up a coffee cup and used a keep cup instead. And the collective action argument that our opposition is making is exactly the point. Because human brains are actually really simple, and this is a symbol that keeps us honest, and then it becomes a part of who we are. So people who use keep cups eat less meat, they use less car energy, they fly less, and then they build solar panels on their house. The other great thing about human brains is that if everyone else is doing it, we think we should do it too, regardless of whether we actually believe it or not. So if you guys were a bunch of houses, and this lady over here put solar panels on a house, within 3 months, one of her neighbours will have done it too. So the guy over there in yellow will have solar panels on his house within 2 years. He doesn't even know the lady over there. So it's that flow on. It is actually collective action that's going to win this for us. And this is our link to the future. It's our reminder. So we have First Nations people in this country that already think 1,000 generations into the future. So this is our connection to the future. So I've made a commitment on the back of this debate that instead of getting monumentally furious with my husband every morning for, why the heck do you have to drink that rubbish? I'm already late. It's going to be, when he looks at it with adoration, I will actually see the fact that he loves me and our children and our grandchildren and all of you.
I didn't even need to ring the bell. She was a minute under. Well, who's next? Team member number 3 of the positive team that your keep cup cannot save you, definitively not save you, is publican, failed politician and emerging comedian, Leanne Minshall.
Hello. And short person. I'm sorry, but individual collectivism, what the hell is that? That is a completely made-up term from our opposing team. It's a complete oxymoron. What are we going to be next? Alone together? Growing smaller? Tell you who's not growing smaller. It's the people who are responsible for most of the emissions that have been put in the air. Most of the emissions, in fact 63% of all emissions that were pumped up into the air between the start of the Industrial Revolution and 2010 comes down to 63 companies. Not you and I, my friends, it's 63 companies who did that and shoved all of the money into their pockets. And if we were going to have individual action, I'd just like to push back on the scientific veracity of that claim made by the opposition that people who have keep cups fly less, eat less meat. Where the hell did you get that one from? Because quite frankly, my friends... well... Don't you love that? I love the expert. I've got 5 letters, so it must be true. Well, I can tell you that as a publican... Most of the people who I see who come into the pub with the keep cups is that trendy. They keep talking about their latest overseas travel. And if you have been overseas, what about kids? If you have a child in the developed world, so if you have a child in Australia, that child is going to leave about a 58.6 metric tonne of carbon footprint per year. And yet, there's people who come into the pub with their 4 kids and say, I'm a vegan. Could I have a soy cappuccino in my Keep cup, please? I love that skirt. I got it in Paris. Flying from Perth to London will cost you around about, I've written it down, 3.153 kilos of CO2. Now, to put this into some context, all of the people with their trendy Keep cups, their 5 kids, who it's okay because they're going to be environmentalists, are pumping out all of the emission. The bogan who owns a V8 that does blockies in Launceston that we all go, isn't he terrible, he doesn't care about emissions at all? Well, he's doing about 4.6 metric tonnes per year. He could drive for the rest of his life 24 hours a day, and the individual with the bloody Keep cup, the 6 kids, the Paris fashion, is going to be beating him in the footprint stakes by quite some length, my friends. So, my thing is, no, I don't want you all to go home and be miserable. I'm a publican. I want people to go out, I want them to drink, I want them to have a good time, and I want them to stick a rocket up the arse of the fossil fuel companies who are the real purpose of this problem.
Keep cup. The Keep cup is a potent symbol of individual action meets collective possibility, or up the arse of the fossil fuel companies. Right. Rounding off the negative team, arguing against the proposition that your Keep cup can't save you, we have the CEO, no less, of the Tasmanian Land Conservancy, James Haddam.
Gee whiz. Psychology tells us that every day, whether you realise it or not, you're making decisions on how to spend your time, what to pay attention to, and where to direct your energy. Right now, you have all chosen to be here. But why? There are countless other things you could be doing. Maybe in a minute you decide you need another drink, or someone sends you a text message and you reach for your phone. When those things happen, you're making a simple values-based decision. Your phone or that beer is much more important than listening to me. Our values inform our behaviours, driving our actions and shaping our social norms. I can tell people that I care about climate change, but if I spend my days driving around TLC reserves in fuel-guzzling four-wheel drives, my actions don't really match up. Actions don't lie. But do these even matter? Some argue that they are simply a fashionable crusade without genuine commitment. Exhibit A. I'm going to share 2 examples why that is false. Tasmanians love a bumper sticker. Born out of the No Damn sticker in the Franklin campaign, the act of putting a sticker on your car is a call to arms, of solidarity to a cause and a clear example of collective-driven individual action. When I was back in high school in Victoria in the early 2000s, I remember noticing a sticker saying "Save Research Bay" on my outdoor ed teacher's banged-up Subaru. I had no idea where Research Bay was. That sticker started a conversation. I followed the campaign as I went off to university, and I was introduced to the organisation which I'm lucky enough to lead. Did John's sticker save Research Bay? Of course not. But did it contribute to a collective community-led action which protected it? 100% it did. My second example is a simple triangular green sign that are pinned on gates all over Australia. These Land for Wildlife signs are symbols of a landholder's commitment to conservation on their property. We know that as soon as the sign goes up, it starts a conversation with neighbours, and quickly the entire neighbourhood is scattered with green signs. Last week, I visited a 2-hectare property of a delightful couple, James and Colin. The property next door had been clear-felled. They felt horrified, and until that sign went up, they felt at a loss. Will that 2 hectares protect every threatened species from extinction? No, it won't. But when you add James and Colin to the 25,000 other Land for Wildlife landholders across Australia, conserving over 2.4 million hectares of land, I reckon they're making a pretty good contributions. We are more than human beings being told what to do and what to think. People like James and Colin are human doing. Through each actions that we drive collective contributions and behavioural change. We motivate active participation in civil society where individuals take responsibility for societal challenges. An individual's actions are an expression of self, a pillar of purpose, creators of community and drivers for change. So go on, grab your keep cup, jump in your bumper sticker-laden EV, drive out the front gate, past your Land for Wildlife sign and head to the local reserve to pull a weed, plant a tree and have a cuppa with a friend.
James Haddam. Right. We're giving them a few minutes to deliberate. So you are the entertainment. Talk amongst yourselves, sing, conduct, whatever takes your fancy. We're giving them a couple of minutes to come up with a finely constructed, robust, convincing argument that the other team is full of bollocks. Hang tight. It's the angel of science. The new bell. It's actually the prize for tonight. So, are we ready? To be convinced? Affirmative team leader, your keep cup won't save you. No, it won't. Professor Barbara Holland.
I'd like to begin by thanking the opposing team for basically advancing our argument for us that, keep cups might be a little bit useful if they are a gateway drug to collective action, which is what we really need. However, we do worry a bit that they might just be an opiate for the masses, hollow virtue signalling that won't really get us that far. We also questioned what was the sampling in these CSIRO studies and if it included any third world countries that couldn't afford, coffee or keep cups. But anyway, I used to teach a different course before I started teaching Saving the Planet from Impending Doom. I used to teach Saving Gotham City from Crime. Now, we had a really promising student the year I taught it. You might have heard of him. His name was Batman. He was super enthusiastic. He put everything into it. He stayed up really late fighting crime every night, killing baddies, power boom. But strangely, crime in Gotham City never improved. So we staged a mid-semester intervention. I asked, have you considered asking Bruce Wayne to donate, to charities for community programs supporting disadvantaged youth? He's like, nah, I'm going to buy a bigger Batmobile and kill a supervillain. In the end, we had to fail him. Let's think about ways, that we try and solve big societal problems. War on drugs. It would be great if we just, imprison individual drug takers or drug sellers. That will work really well. Or the war on terror. Let's kill off individual terrorists. A bit like chopping heads off a hydra. It just doesn't work. Another example, the gender pay gap. Sheryl Sandberg said, hey ladies, let's all just lean in. Let's individually just lean in. That'll be fine. But it actually turns out that collective solutions like paid paternity leave are quite helpful too. Now, the war on trash, as Matt has so eloquently explained, is an uphill battle if left to individuals. But what if everywhere took the same approach Germany has taken and charged corporations for the cost of dealing with their products' packaging? Wouldn't that be great? It seems to us on the Keep Cup Can't Save Your team, the Cantankerous Collective, that most of the world's wicked problems require collaborative, collective solutions. We call for many different areas of expertise, scientists, sociologists, local government, urban planners, even federal government and strange people like economists. They're probably all going to be needed to work together collectively, sipping out of their keep cups if they really have to, but really, why not just have a mug? Now, we're not arguing that you shouldn't take individual actions. Of course you should. We're just saying don't fool yourself into thinking that these individual actions will be sufficient to avert impending doom. No amount of recycling will compensate for having a government that enjoys cuddles with coal. So remember that.
Barbara Holland. Okay. From the Beaker Street Keepers, the negative team leader, Craig Rucastle, arguing that your keep cup will save you. Please welcome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the thing is that we should never decide debates based on the hypocrisy of those that argue a position. So the fact that Matt, for instance, argues against individual action and says there's no point doing it, yet every year he goes to the west of Tasmania and picks up 10,000 pieces of plastic off a beach himself. I mean, with 35 of your closest friends, exactly. You are I wish you were on our side. You're one of the great examples of what we're talking about here. The fact that Leanne says, I hate all these wankers that turn up with their keep cups when they've come to my pub and they've got a Tesla and all that kind of stuff, and yet she still gives them all a discount, don't you, Leanne? No. And by the way, how do you think the Launceston Lappies are going to get more carbon efficient if it's not for the wankers visiting your pubs, buying Teslas, and then it gets on the second-hand market, and suddenly the Lappies around Launceston are not only carbon neutral but a lot quieter as well. That's what happens. And Professor Barbara, I mean the greatest hypocrisy of all, she's a mathematician. She knows that small things add up. But we're not going to win this debate on the basis of all their hypocrisy. We're going to win this debate on the basis that they didn't actually make any arguments. What we suggested is that individual actions, whilst on their own not necessarily huge things, add up and lead to collective action. It's a gateway drug to collective action. What they argued, and this is a fascinating argument, it came up in two of the things. I mean, Leanne said there are 63 companies in the world that have created most of the carbon pollution, right? And Matt said it's up to the coal companies and the governments to solve this. So their model was that the coal companies and the government, with no pressure from outside, will just sort it out themselves. To use the example that Professor Barbara gave, in the war on drugs, their argument was, let's leave it to the heroin dealers to solve this out. I'm expecting the heroin dealers to solve the problem with drugs because they're the ones that are benefiting from it. There is no goddamn way that the coal companies, gas companies, polluters in our world are going to change their behaviour in any way unless they know for sure that we care about it. And yes, we show we care about it through our votes, but we also show it through we care about it by using our keep cups, by changing our shares in our companies, by getting out of fossil fuel companies, by changing our banks, by doing all this kind of stuff, because you know what? It finally shows the symbol that we actually care about this kind of stuff. So look, I'm happy with your particular model, which is that somehow the bad guys will just sort it out themselves. But I think in actual fact, we need to take our individual actions, take our community actions together, lead to community actions and solve these problems. And look, how could you go beyond my team? Because my team based this on, when Beth was asked where her evidence came from, she said it came from 5 CSIRO studies. And James showed you bumper stickers, so we win.
Now you have the hard task of deciding who wins tonight's Beaker Street debate. Yes, we're deeply scientific here. It's all going to be on the decibel factor. So, who is the winner of the 2022 Beaker Street debate? Is it the affirmative? Oh, both of them. No, it doesn't work like that. We're bastards here. There has to be a winner. Is it the affirmative team, the cantankerous collective, aka Eat the Rich? For the proposition that your keep cup can't save you, don't delude yourself. Yes or no? Over to you. Is it the negative team? The Beaker Street Keepers, aka the Keep Cup Wankers, against the proposition your keep cup can't save you. You have the personal power to help save the planet for reals. The affirmative team? The negative team? Affirmative? Negative? Affirmative? Negative? Okay, one more go. Affirmative team? Negative team?
It's a draw that shows we need all forms of action.
I need Margot Adler up here. Margot Adler, Festival Director. I need help. What do you think, Margot?
I can't believe it, but I think the negative team won. I thought I was setting them up for an impossible task, but I think the applause was louder.
I think you're right. The 2022 Beaker Street debate, Angel of Science, goes to the negative team. Craig Rucastle, Beth Fulton and James Haddam. Congratulations. And let's thank our positive team, Barbara Holland, Matthew Dell and Leanne Minchell. Thank you so much for being here at the 2022 Beaker Street debate. May you all work together to save this beautiful planet of ours. Keep cup or no keep cup. We've just got a mission ahead of us, haven't we? It's over to Margot Adler, your festival director, with a sweet message for you all.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Thank you to the brilliant debaters. This is always a highlight of the festival. It never fails to disappoint. And it was close, but I really am very surprised. I thought this is so unfair of me to ask people to go on that side, but they won. I think they really won. Thank you to everybody for coming. This has been another great 2 nights at the Festival Hub at TMAG. Thanks to TMAG. I have about 30,000 people to thank, and I'm not even going to try because someone's going to be offended. And so instead, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up in the festival. So there's still the rest of tonight. We've got great band down in the basement. Yesterday's Gentlemen. Go down, have a dance. Check out the vaginas in the back of the room. They're great. The Bond Store basement has some beautiful exhibitions. The Roving Scientist Bar will be closing pretty soon in the Plant Music Lounge, but I think there might still be some music out in the car park, but I'm pretty sure the basement's going to be where most of the action's happening after this. This week, we're going on our Tassie Science road trip with Dr. Carl, so if you want to come up to Cradle Mountain or Launceston, you can hear from some great scientists. You can have dinner with them and Dr. Carl. And then we end our festival. We have heaps of events up in Launceston, by the way, which are going to be great. So if you're up in Launceston in the next week, please check out what we've got up there. But also our Dark Sky Party Nocturna at Spring Bay Mill, highlight of the festival, celebration of the cosmos, Tassie's access to our pristine dark skies, which we won't have forever if we don't protect them, live music, feature performance of When Water Falls, Aboriginal astronomy with Crystal DiNapoli coming down from Melbourne. So much good stuff. I can't name it all here, but it is really my festival highlight, so hope you can all make it along to that next Saturday. And I do want to just quickly thank our brilliant and amazing team, Rosie, Georgia, Anna, Mia, Lynn, Jen, the whole crew on site, the interpreters, thank you so much, and everybody who has been involved in this festival this year, our great partners, sponsors, the volunteers without whom this event would not be possible. And the audience, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Margot Adler. Let's give it up for our 2 teams once again. Have a great night.